But some people like that also. Some people really are attracted to unavailability. Is that a word? Like the less available you
Yeah.
seem at the counter or whatever, the more someone might try to talk to you.
It's like getting into the frog club.
Yeah.
You can't come in, so I want to come in.
Yeah. And then once you get in, you're like, I don't want to be here. Hello, I'm Alison Roman, and welcome to Solicited Advice, the podcast where I get to do what I love most, give advice. Each week, I'm joined by a very special guest and several very special advice seekers as we do our best to solve all of, or at least one of, your problems. Jason Stewart is the host of the podcast How Long Gone with Chris Black, and he's also a great DJ. He DJ'd my last book party, and he played only vinyl, and it was awesome. And you can read his Substack all about food and what it's like to DJ my book party at themjeans.substack.com. Welcome back to LA.
So fun.
How do you feel?
Yeah, it feels great to be back in LA. I have pistachio milk lattes, and I'm back to
Is
where I
that
need
sponsored?
to be. Just a gift. Just a wonderful gift. Whenever you know when you go out of town as a food influencer, you return back, your neighbor comes over with box after box of Monty's sauce and pistachio
No.
milks and boxed wine and things like no?
No. Are you, as a budding food influencer, I feel like you're probably going to get a lot more attention because I think people realize at this point, I so
Budding?
seldom
Ugh.
post anything. And I think people realize that. So they stopped giving me stuff, which fair. But I will say though, when I like it, when it hits and I like it, I will talk about it and I do post about it. I just don't.
The power
I
of
just
saying
don't
no.
like everything. Well, the power of saying no in this case is that I get less stuff, which actually is what I want. I want less stuff.
I'm starting to get there.
Yeah, but right now you're like, this is great.
You hear influencers complaining about the burden of the free gifts they receive.
Not me.
And
Not me.
ridiculous.
You won't catch me complaining because you know
Yeah.
I don't get the gifts anymore. I say if they say, can we send you something? I normally say, I'm not home to receive, because if I don't want it, I don't want to receive it. There's too much stuff in the. Have you watched the Brandy Melville documentary?
Not yet. Is it worth a view?
It's a rough start because you're like, this is for teens by teens, but it's not. And I haven't finished it, but it gets better. But it's sort of like a twofold situation where like the Brandy Melville of it all and like the company and how they ran it and the sort of dubious nature of the business. But then it also gets into like, there's too much stuff in the world, namely too much clothing. And like, where does it all go? And so that's been really weighing on me all day.
And then Brandy's like, there's a lot of clothing that ends up in landfills and fast fashion. So that's why they make everything in size 00. It just physically takes up less space in the landfill. Is that
It's not size zero. It's one size fits all. And I actually don't know if I guess they're still in business. Like, I assume that they are. Anyway.
They're very much in business.
Well, the part that I got to is that a lot of the clothing it ends up in Ghana because they have like a deal with Europe and with America where they send like shipping crates of clothing and it all ends up there. And now like the people of Ghana are like, we don't want this either. But like it just gets like shuffled around. Anyway, doesn't matter. You should watch it. And maybe you'll think twice about getting that pistachio milk latte gifted to you. Or not. I don't know.
I feel like I'll be able to watch Brandy Hellville and still receive single-use plastics somehow, some way. But it's something that I plan to work on in the future.
I think you'll hit a breaking point. It can't go on forever, Jason.
That's true.
I love a hotel as much as the next person, but because of how much I tend to travel, I find myself really missing not just staying like in my home, but I really just miss being in a home. It's very important for me that I be cooking kind of all the time, especially when I'm traveling and I see like amazing ingredients or produce. It breaks my heart if I can't actually cook with it. So staying in an Airbnb allows me that opportunity. I also get a sense of like what it's like to actually live in a place, which I always really enjoy. And if I'm honest, the way I pick an Airbnb, it's like, how do I like your decor? Is your rug cool? Do I want to like sit in that chair? Does that bed look so comfortable? And it got me thinking how, being a host for Airbnb is a really awesome way to sort of showcase your personal style. And I don't know, also make a little bit of money. And who doesn't like that? And you never know, your home could be worth a lot more than you think. Find out how much at airbnb.com/host. Recently, I started to stop looking at my phone so much when I was trying to go to bed because I finally started to listen to everybody that was like, it's probably impacting your sleep cycle. So now I read before I go to bed. And even if I'm reading like 3 pages before I go to bed, I am sleeping so much better because of it. And I'm shocked at like what a difference that like little thing makes. Not unsimilarly, I have been taking a daily symbiotic from Seed for a few years now. And taking a daily symbiotic has had a huge impact on the way that I feel physically. And without getting too into it, because this is a podcast, this is not my annual physical. I just want to say that things are great in my body. Things are doing what they're supposed to do when they're supposed to do it. And I do notice a very acute drop off when I stop taking it. Trust your gut with Seed's DS01 Daily Symbiotic. Go to seed.com/advice and use the code 25advice to get 25% off your first month. That's 25% off your first month of Seed's DS01 Daily Symbiotic at seed.com/advice. Code 25advice.
Today's vague theme, as you know, is about dining out. And I wanted you for this because you've sort of become like, probably, is it by accident or on purpose? Like a person known for dining out for restaurant criticism, critiques, highbrow intellectual coverage of dining establishments. I don't know how would you phrase it? Blogging?
I don't know. I mean, basically, a lot of people in the food world are like trying to get me to write about stuff, but I just, the idea of just like writing about food seems weird. Yeah, and Matt was very.
He's like, I want Jason.
He presented. Well, he presented an opportunity to just write reviews of restaurants. So it's sort of, I don't know, it's like a little way of your foot into the door of food writing, where it's like, I could judge a restaurant, I can write a review about a restaurant. That sounds fun and easy, versus like an Anthony Bourdain kind of like Kitchen Confidential. Let me tell you about the heart and the soul and the kitchen, right, and blah blah blah. That's not me, but I can judge a restaurant.
You're a man of opinions. Well, I've always
and I like to.
Yeah, and I've always really liked your writing. You're very smart and observant.
Thank you.
It's fun to read. I enjoy.
Appreciate it. Yeah, I like the challenge of writing a negative review in a way that doesn't hurt anyone's feelings.
I'm going to text you all my feelings about all my restaurant experiences, and you can just write them. I need them out there in the world, but they can't come from me.
I'll find a way.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
I will be your messenger pigeon.
So let's take our first live caller. Have you taken a live caller before, Jason?
Never taken a live caller.
Normally it's just you, Chris, and a guest.
About 1,000 podcasts, or just no guests sometimes.
That's right, just Chris and Jason. Well, now it's Chris. Well, now it's Alison, Jason, and Mary.
Hello.
Hi, Mary.
So I have kind of a two-part question. So the first half of it is, when you go out to dinner, how do you split the bill in a fair way? So, someone orders drinks, someone doesn't, someone has dietary restrictions, so they can't eat one of those plates, if someone gets a more expensive entree. So how do you go about splitting that in a fair way?
I mean, my answer is very short, so I'll just go first and then I'll let Jason take it. You just split it. It doesn't matter if you had, unless you only have water, you just split it. Agreeing to go out to dinner with a group of people is agreeing to pay probably more than you would if it was just you and one other person. Sometimes less, depending on what you order. But like, if you're over let's say 32, if you're over 32, maybe you just agree to pay
30.
Whatever it is that the split is. Okay, well, you got 2 more years, Mary.
Okay.
And before 32, I would say. And here's what I would say, and what I've done in the past is, if somebody's not drinking, I'll say, okay, you didn't drink, everyone else drank. We'll split the tip and you don't leave tip. That to me, I found is the easiest way. Or if it's just 2 people and one person drinks. And
I agree with all of that. You just have to bite the bullet and you split it, because otherwise it's rude to the server to have to figure out extra shit. You're just like,
well, it's also rude to your friends.
3 ways, 4 ways, whatever. Also, with your friends, it's a pain in the ass. You don't want to deal with the math at the end of a meal. But the tip thing is good as well. If somebody really did consume less food or drink, you either you can just have them only pay the tip, or you can have them not pay the tip. You know what I mean? Like, if sometimes it works out to where it's like, all right, we're gonna do all of our food and drinks. You just pay the tip because all you got was your quinoa side, and then we'll call it even. But it's a case by case basis. It depends.
Are you? Yeah, how expensive the quinoa? Sometimes the quinoa is the most expensive thing there. Mary, are you asking because you yourself have found yourself in this position, or like, does it happen more often, or is there like a specific incident?
Yeah, well, I think it comes from, I find I'm typically the person that's not ordering the drinks and stuff. So I'm kind of on the short end of that stick. And there's definitely the friends that tend to maybe indulge in some things a little bit more. So I get what you're saying. If it's like, this week maybe I get something that's a little bit more expensive, and next week my friend gets something that's a little bit more expensive. But when it's on that more, consistent basis, I guess.
Yeah, like
Or I think you need to get new friends, or they need to get
grow
new
up,
friends.
everybody.
Also, is another thing to consider.
I have friends that will definitely outdrink me, and like typically but they are very also aware of that, and so sometimes what we'll do is they'll just preempt it, and so I think it's like, and I wonder the people that preempt it, like I will preempt it if I'm drinking and somebody else isn't. I will say, I'll get the tip. You don't worry about it. Like, I don't want anyone to feel like they're in the position of getting the short end of the stick. I would say if it's like a common occurrence and you're like, I had a salad and didn't drink, and everybody ordered like a whole chicken and a steak and 4 bottles of wine. Yeah, I think it's okay to say something. Is that awkward? I mean, that is awkward, but like.
It is awkward. Yeah. And that's where I think, I've kind of ended up in this situation where there's definitely the friends. And I think when I have been that friend, to your point, where I know I'm spending maybe a little bit more, like doing that preemptive, like I'll cover tip or whatever it is. And so it's those people that don't make that first move. Like, how do you handle that?
Are you close with them? Like close enough to be like, hey, can I talk to you for a second? Like you're giving them a performance review, but like ask them. I guess it depends on how close you are. I also think that there's some friends that I'm close enough where I would just at the table be like, oh, I'm going to leave $50. You guys can figure the rest out. Let me know who to Venmo. Like.
Mary, are you Canadian?
No, I'm not Canadian. I'm not that nice. I'm from New Jersey. Yeah.
Oh, you're okay. Opposite. Yeah. I feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like also it's so funny doing this show. I realized that like so often my answers are like, it gets easier as you get older, or like this becomes less of an issue as you get older. And I think this is an exact example of the more you dine out with people and the more you get into these situations, it does kind of iron themselves out. But it does unfortunately take some confrontation occasionally. But I'm a very confrontational person. So that's like,
and money.
What would you do? Jason, I feel like you're not a confrontational person.
I'm not that confrontational. No, I err on the side of drinking more than the other people at the table. Oftentimes, Chris, my podcast partner, he doesn't drink at all, and he would never ever. He's happy to split the bill with a table full of drinkers. It's almost a point of pride for him, and I admire that about him. I think it's a good skill to have and a good quality to have, but it also boils down to how much money you have. Like you said, as we get older, it gets easier, but ideally, as we get older, we should have more money, and we're able to pay for a couple friends' drinks that we didn't drink without, having an aneurysm about it. But if you're young and money is tight, then just don't go out to that fancy dinner with a group of people who are going to drink. You just got to go to In-N-Out or something.
This question almost makes it sound like it's a recurring theme with a certain group of people. Is that true?
There's definitely like one or two people that there's always been like the side powwow with other friends about these people that you're like, because I think it even gets into like the second half of my question is like the etiquette around shared plates. Like there's the half of my group of friends that like the last bite we won't touch because we're like, that's the last bite. Like someone else should have it. And then it feels like there's people that will just grab that last bite and like not even think about it. And so I think to your point, just all this like, what's fair? Like what is the what is the etiquette or like what I assume is the proper thing to do,
Yeah. The last bite.
Well, this is what I'd like to do. I do a performative passive aggressive thing where I take the last bite and cut it into like eighths, like little tiny pieces, and they're like, no, you should just have it. I'm like, are you sure? Okay, I'll just eat it. That usually
I like
works
that.
well.
You can I will offer it. Like also preempting that if you order, let's say you order head-on prawns for the table, as one does, and there's 4 of you, you ask the server, how many prawns are there? And they go, 3. Would you like a 4th? And you say, yes, because I'm not trying to split 3 prawns among 4 people.
Goes to lay rock
Yeah.
once.
They're really good about it, but
then also you have to factor in the frying of the heads. I'll be like, hey, you guys, I will have 0.
That's not every place.
They fry the heads for you at
They
lay
fry the
rock.
heads for you,
But
Jason.
if it's on the table, I'll take 4 fried heads and 0 shrimp. You know
You're
what I mean?
a dream
There's a lot of
dining
different ways you
companion.
can slice this
We're really learning on this as Jason and I get to know each other, dining with each other, the have and have nots. Jason's out here getting gifted oat milk, bottles of wine from Substack, and
pistachio
I'm
nut.
out here getting hacked. No wine sent to the table. Okay.
It pays to be a bottom feeder, not to bring up shellfish.
Good job. Good, nice way to tie back in a shrimp. The last bite really kills me because I think that the less I know you, the more likely I will be to leave the last bite on the plate. You know who hates leaving the last bite on the plate? The person who made you that food. They want you to eat the plate. And you know someone at that table wants it, but it's like, no, I couldn't possibly. No, you. No. It's like everyone's being so polite. But like, if you want it, say yes. If you don't, let it go. But there's a lot of politeness with the last bite, or just certain people just will never finish their plate of food. I think that's just like a way that they eat. I can't relate.
Yeah. Do you know I think there's a Curb Your Enthusiasm where Larry's like they're fighting over who's going to be in charge of the conversation at the dinner party, like who's at the middle seat. They can
who's in the middle.
There should sort of be a judge, and every plate that comes out, the judge is observing how everyone eats it, and whoever likes the dish the most should get the last bite.
Yeah, and they can say that.
Whoever's really just like,
and you can say that, like, or I know I like this more, and I seen you enjoy this more. Like it's gonna all weave together. But also to that end, if you're not eating, I see you at the table. I see the people who don't eat at the table. You can't hide among a group of people. I see it. I notice everything. But yeah, so to sum it up, I guess, Mary, for sharing and splitting, I think it's always generous. And maybe you can lead by example, and like next time you're out with those people, like you can also say like, oh, because you guys drank and I didn't, would it be cool? Like, I just won't leave tip and you guys can split that. Like, just take control. Just be like, oh, this is what's going to happen.
That's fair.
And see how they react.
That's fair. If they disapprove, they're monsters.
Is that crazy? I mean, the adult thing to do would be like, hey, do you guys mind if I don't leave tip because I didn't drink? And this happens quite a lot and it adds up. And, I'm not drinking to save money, but it would be great if the check was more reflective of the, it just feels like long-winded.
No, I agree. I like the other option. Just kind of state it as fact. This is what I'm doing. If friends want to make additional comments, they can, but just kind of stating where I'm at, not leaving it open for interpretation.
Yeah. And the best people will also be like, yeah, if you did split it evenly, someone should be like, oh, I'll buy you a drink later, or I'll do something, like sort of pay it forward. Like make a gesture.
Uber's on me.
Like, yeah. I'll do the Uber. Exactly. Like some sort of gesture so that they also know that there's an imbalance, because otherwise it speaks to just like a complete lack of self-awareness, which then you might need to examine the friendship.
Yeah, I think that does kind of get to the core of it, though. It's not that I like want to bust out a calculator and figure out who exactly owes what. It's just you want to feel like acknowledged that there is that imbalance.
You know what, Mary? I think that is exactly it. And I think if these were people that were really sweet and kind to you on a regular basis, that made you feel appreciated and seen and like, did things for you, if you went out to dinner with them and they drank and you didn't, and you would just probably happily split the bill. But it feels like this is an underlying issue of you being like, these people are a little bit inconsiderate. And this just happens to be like a concrete example that you can point to and be like, this irritates me. And it's not so much about the like extra $8 you spent because 2 people had a glass of Pinot Grigio. It's about these people that you're spending time with that don't seem to have that much awareness. Is that?
Yeah, I think that's
okay.
Probably a good way of recapping it for sure.
Yeah, that's tough. But you know what? That will probably also, I have something in my eye, sorry. That will also probably solve itself in that, again, those people tend to fall away, or it comes to a head and you have a conversation about it and behaviors change and people grow and friendships deepen, or you never speak again.
One of the two.
Yeah. All right. Well, I hope that was helpful. Jason, do you have anything else to add?
No, I mean, I almost feel like I just had a therapy session.
Welcome to Solicited Advice,
It started out
Jason.
as one
Yeah, I
thing.
just wanted
and
to talk about splitting a
I
check,
started
and now I
looking
have
out
to
my window
re-examine
like,
my friends.
damn,
My mascara.
communication really is key. Oh, God. Same time next week, Mary?
Perfect.
Wow, that 50 minutes just flew
Well, that's
by.
what I'm saying. Like when you were like, oh, Chris does it and he does it happily, it's a point of pride. I'm like, well, he's also probably like, there's like an unspoken level of respect, and like, especially among people, you two, you spend a lot of time together. But anyway, we'll wrap it up because I can't top what I said. Probably that's good.
Yeah, and he knows, and many other people know, if you go to dinner and there's like a Venmo split thing, that's a big no-no. I'm trying to restrict the words that I say on this family
That's
podcast.
okay. And you can say fuck on this family podcast, but 9-year-olds do listen. One final thing that I'll say is that I think that apps like Splitwise are stupid, and we shouldn't be using them as adults.
Oh, totally agree.
And we just lost the Splitwise ad read. Okay.
Unless Splitwise wants to do an ad read, which they haven't yet, then I take it back, and I love Splitwise.
How long gone love
And you
Splitwise?
can use Roman 20 at checkout or whatever. It's a free app, actually. It doesn't matter. Okay.
No.
Mary, we hope that was really helpful, and good luck, and don't feel afraid to speak up for yourself. And also, if it does lead to sort of uncovering a bigger, deeper issue in this friend group, sounds like you already have some people on your side and you're probably aligned and you're not crazy.
Thank you.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much for the advice.
Or you need to start drinking as much as your friends do.
No, that's not
One
advice.
of two.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much.
Bye,
Mary.
Mary.
Bye.
Every problem is always another problem or about another problem. Like it's never about the money. It's about your shitty friends. But that is like you.
Or sometimes you're the shitty friend though.
That's happened before where I'm like, oh, you're the problem. But I don't know.
And then I'm like, if I hang out with you, what does that say about me?
I know.
Ugh.
We're both bad people. This makes me want to do like a people's court though. Like sometimes talking to Mary Cornfield isn't enough. I got to talk to Mary's friends because maybe there's a piece of this puzzle that we're not privy to. Get me both plaintiffs or whatever.
It is true.
They're called.
Mary's friends they sound awful.
Awful.
Just terrible
they sound
people.
like regular people that are young and no one's ever told them, hey, have you thought about others? Like, just think of others.
Do you know how you look in public? Yeah. Mary's friends?
Think of others is all I'm saying. And not even like in an earnest way. Like, you can think of others and then disregard, but like you need to have gone through the process a little bit.
And also, if you're not a payer of bills, sweat equity goes a long way. If you're going to be the cheapskate guy who's going to nitpick stuff, you're cracking jokes, you're bringing up conversation topics,
you're middling.
You're giving, you're pulling your weight, however you can.
I have a friend who comes over for dinner.
Oh, you want the restroom? Restroom's right over there. I can take you there if you want.
They'll give you a towel when you come out to wipe your hands. I have a friend who comes over for dinner.
You fold your napkin when you get up.
And they come over for dinner and they almost never bring anything. And I don't care because they are such a delightful guest. They keep the conversation flowing. They clean up after themselves. They are a delight. They're on time. They don't stay too late. I'm like, you're a perfect guest. I don't care if you never bring anything. But if there was somebody who I had another problem with because they were otherwise shitty and they didn't bring something, that would be a huge issue for me. So it is also selective. You have to ask yourself, why does this bother me so much?
I would much rather have somebody who's like cleaning their plate, maybe doing a dish, whatever it may be, versus like, here's this dumb bottle of orange wine that I bought on the way over here that I don't care about, you don't care about. But also put yourself in other people's shoes. What do you bring Alison Roman to Alison Roman's house? You know what I mean? Like, what do you really?
A case of seltzer.
It's intimidating.
I mean, literally, I can name so many things, like a candle. I don't know. I'm very easy to please, but also I don't require anyone to bring me anything. That
Candle feels a little spendy for a dinner
That's
gift.
true.
You know? I mean, is it the 3-wick diptyque? How are we going here?
I've actually migrated to the
Thank
Loewe
you for making
candle.
me these brothy beans. Here's a
Loewe you don't need to bring me a Loewe candle if you come over to my house for dinner, but I'm saying Loewe has replaced the diptyque, I think. I think the candles are unparalleled. The beetroot candle is now what my home smells like and will for the foreseeable future.
Beetroot.
It doesn't smell like beets. They call it that. I don't know why. I don't know why they
Right.
name their fragrances what they do. But what do you think of tomato
Yeah.
candles?
I've received. Wait, isn't that a flamingo?
Oh, you've received
Flamingo is,
yet
nobody
again.
buys a tomato candle. You get it for free, right?
Yeah, tomato candles simply they actually can't be purchased legally. You have to gift. They have to be gifted.
Like the Flamingo Estates tomato candle. Or
Yeah, I just Loewe has
is
one
it
as
like
well. I feel like it's like the fragrance du jour. I don't know who did it first. I don't care, but it's not for me.
Does it really smell like tomato though?
Tomato leaf.
Or does it just smell kind of good?
No, it smells like tomato leaf. It's like a very specific fragrance, which very few people have like smelled a tomato leaf, because when you get them in the store or even the farmer's market, they don't have a leaf on the plant. So unless you've gone to a farm or
just a
grown one
vine.
yourself, like that fragrance really is specific, and it doesn't smell like a tomato. It's just like its own thing. But anyway, I can't see you as
It's delicate, I'm sure.
Yeah, they're okay. They're fine. I could see you with one, but yeah, the one that you didn't buy. That's a problem though, Jason. Also,
Yeah,
if you fill your home with things that are just gifted that you're not choosing, how is anyone supposed to get a real read on the things that you enjoy? Like, I'm assuming you love oat milk lattes made with pistachio milk lattes. And you're like, no, I just got this.
I would never drink oat milk. I would never drink oat milk. Seed oils, get out of
Yeah, he's
here. I'm
only
a
drinking
whole
pistachio.
milk drinker only. Well, people can get a read on what I don't care if people can get a read on my personality, which is this guy likes free stuff. But also my wife buys things that she loves
she has
and
impeccable
enjoys,
taste.
and she has great
Yeah.
taste, and she is able to
That's fair.
outfit our home with beautiful scents and smells and things like that. And I'm just lucky enough to be along for the
That's
ride.
true.
And then all the free stuff can go into my office.
That's right. I'm sure she'd love to keep it there.
See this candle right here?
What's it smell like?
I didn't buy this shit.
Well, everyone's going to think that you like it.
I forgot what it's called. I like it.
There's an olive oil company
With
that shall not
candles
be
are
named
candles.
that sent me a bottle of it, and so I tried it because that's what you do to see if you like it, and it was fine. It wasn't for me, but it stayed on my counter because I wasn't going to like throw it away, and then it would show up in photos or videos or something, and it was like, oh, Alison Roman likes this olive oil, and I was like, no, I don't. So you got to be careful. It's a really slippery slope. Okay, let's take our next caller. Hi, Kayla.
Kayla.
Hi, how's it going?
How can we help you today?
Yeah, so I love to go out to eat and try new restaurants, and
Same.
I move a lot though, and like you don't always have a friend to go out to eat with. But I feel like I really struggle like mustering that main character energy I feel like you need when you go out to eat alone. And I don't really like know the rules. Like, do you get a bar seat? Is that annoying? Is it annoying to get a table for one? Like, should I bring a book? But if I want to meet people, like what are the best maybe like food events or like dining experiences that I should maybe try if I want to meet people? So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm just curious about like, I don't know, how does one go out and eat by themselves at a nice restaurant?
This is, I like, because we've discussed this on the podcast, on my podcast before, about the energy of the guy reading the book alone at the bar to put out a vibe to, attract.
You don't think that person
ladies,
possibly
nice
just wants to be reading a book?
You could tell when a guy is hornily eating alone and when he is not.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to hear it from the female side where it's a little bit different. Yeah, I mean, so how many times a year do you move, Kayla?
Well, it's crazy. I moved out to upstate New York about a year ago, and then I literally just moved back to Salt Lake City like 3 days ago. So this is not something that I do a lot, but it has been a theme in my life the last year.
Oh, wow. Okay. Is this by choice? Like, do you know other people there? Is it like you just go where the wind takes you? Is it work related?
Mostly go where the wind takes me. I moved back to Salt Lake though, so I had been living here for a couple of years. So I've got friends, but like, again, some people just aren't always available. And if I want to try a new event or like a dining experience and people aren't around, like it just, I don't know, it seems difficult to go do it by myself.
So when you've said dining experience and event, but you have not said eating dinner? Are you talking about like are there these like
I think we
foodie
can
events,
infer
like
that
a
that's what she
thingy at
means. I
a
think she means eating
bookstore?
meals.
I don't know.
Well, yeah,
I don't
both,
know.
I guess. So like when I was in the Catskills, there's, you know, a lot of really cool restaurants that do these, like, you know, you buy a ticket and you spend $60 and you go and have a meal. And like I've done that alone, and it was kind of hard until I got into it and there was like other singles at the table. So that seems like maybe a better way to meet people, but like I guess going out to eat by myself at a restaurant, that is maybe where it's a little bit trickier.
Well, so
Yeah.
this feels like a
And you mentioned the main character,
yeah.
Yeah.
which is a thing. Sorry,
No,
go ahead,
no,
Alison.
that's true. But I guess this feels like a two-part question. Like, one, are you like, what's the best way to eat alone? Or is it, what's the best way to meet people that have similar interests, which is eating?
Let's probably, yeah, it's probably both, but like maybe the first one is more relevant.
Yeah. I
Like
think, well, they're related.
I don't know
Well,
the rules. Yeah.
I think I would choose. Well, luckily I live in Los Angeles. There's so many zillions of restaurants, but if I enjoy eating alone, it is great. You can order exactly what you want. You don't have to ask somebody what they think and blah blah. It's good to go into it drinking or maybe take an edible, and you sort of have no choice to become the main character.
I am sober, so that's hard, but yeah.
Jason, great
Jesus
advice.
Christ.
I know.
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
Okay, so next time, this is going to be an uphill battle for you, girl. Go to restaurants where they have seating where you're sort of in the kitchen, not just like at the bar with the bartender, but there's restaurants, you know,
Chef's
there's
table,
plenty
as it were.
all over the country where, yeah, where you're sort of at the chef's table, you're there, you're interacting with people, you can ask questions, you can befriend the people that work there, and if you like that restaurant, then you never really feel like you're dining alone, and then other people like you, solo like-minded diners, you can befriend them, have a mocktail, have a Gia spritz.
But also, even if you're not,
But yeah,
even if you're not meeting other people alone, you could meet other couples, and like not in like a fun, sexy way, unless it is. But I feel like when I'm at dinner with a friend or my husband or whatever, and it's just us two at the bar seats or the chef's counter or whatever, and there is a person dining solo, we almost always end up talking to them. And it does, you know, it does. I don't think that like you need to always be on the hunt for like one other person that's in the same situation, but even just people in general, if you sort of like frame it like I'm here to meet people and there's no agenda, it's not romantic, it's not professional, it's just to like expand my horizons and like see where that takes me or where that leads. I feel like you can talk to anyone. And I like most people are very open to having conversation. And if they're not, they very quickly tell you that through their body language
Totally.
or a lack of interest.
Yes, I've had that experience before for sure.
Yeah, it sucks. It happened. Well, I was eating once at the bar at Via Carota, and James Marsden sat next to me, and which was neither here nor there, but he was sitting in between. He was sitting in a seat that like I needed because I was two other people were joining me, and he was like if he had moved just like one over, I would have had enough room for my friends.
Mhm.
So I asked him if he
Mhm.
would move. He didn't move, but he wasn't rude about it. He was really
He
nice.
said no?
Well, so it was very, very Curb Your
Martin.
Enthusiasm. I asked him like as he got his food, but I didn't realize he had ordered food yet. I wouldn't have asked him had I known that, because that would have been rude. And I was like, "Oh, don't worry about it. Like maybe when you're done eating or whatever." Like whatever. It was a mess. It was. I wish I could have opened up into the floor, and I could tell that he thought I was trying to just talk to him because he was James Marsden, but I really just wanted the seat so my friend could sit down. Anyway,
And on top of that, he's short. Get out of here,
no, he's
Marsden.
so handsome, and I didn't think of him as short. I actually
But
didn't.
at what cost?
I didn't clock his height, but he was extraordinarily handsome, like arrestingly good looking. Anyway, Via Carota, anything can
We'll chat
happen.
offline.
Anyway, all that to say is, I think that depending on where you are coming from or where you're living at the time, there's like, I hate to recommend this, but I remember liking it a lot when I moved to New York, but like things like Time Out New York, like
Okay.
for like places that are not familiar to you, like you don't know where to look yet. It's not like you've been there for 5 years and you're like, well, I know what's what. Like you actually are starting kind of, well, I guess you're not starting from scratch. You lived there.
Yeah, a little bit, but there's a lot of places that I
Yeah,
haven't been.
you can go to all 3 restaurants in Salt Lake City in 1 week and
Yeah, see,
figure it out.
that's the
Not
other
too hard.
piece. Yeah.
Are there like
Okay, well, question, Alison. Well, for both of you, what type of book it puts out a vibe of like, I'm here to read, but I'm also, the door is open for a convo, versus like, I'm reading a book, don't fucking talk to me energy. You know what I mean?
You know what? It's a magazine. You have to go
I
to a
was gonna
magazine
say.
stand, because not only is that compelling, but it says like, I read often, and I'm not taking this too seriously. I'm here to catch up on current events. I'm here to, um, talk culture.
Okay, so you got the Us Weekly open.
Yeah. Grab a New
checking
Yorker,
out
grab an Us
Sofia
Weekly.
Vergara.
The New Yorker says,
Okay.
I love to learn. The Us Weekly says, I don't take myself too seriously.
Love it.
I don't think a book says
Magazine's a
don't
good
talk to
idea.
me.
But a Kindle does.
Yes.
I guess maybe it's less about what book it is and more about how you're reading it. If you're feverishly reading it, you don't take your eyes off the page to shovel fries into your mouth, then you're like, I'm not going to bother Kayla here. But if you're just kind of like, I'm reading.
But some people like that
also
also. Some people really
flirty.
are attracted to unavailability. Is that a word? Like the less available you
Yeah.
seem at the counter or whatever, the more someone might try to talk to you.
It's like getting into the frog club.
Yeah.
You can't come in, so I want to come in.
Yeah. And then once you get in, you're like, I don't want to be here. Just kidding. I had a good time. Yeah. Like what is the place that somebody, if I were going to Salt Lake City and I wanted to look up what restaurants I should go to, where would I look?
Oh man, that's tricky. Usually I just find restaurants like through people on Instagram and then go that route. Or like, I don't know, there's always content creators.
You know what,
and
we're
stuff,
gonna
like doing tours, but
we're gonna deploy the fans here. And if you're listening to this, you should leave a comment either on my Instagram or leave a comment on the newsletter that this goes out in. And you have to be a paying subscriber to do that. But leave a comment and tell Kayla where she should go in Salt Lake City. If you've been there, if you live there, let it be
Salt
heard.
Lake City Romanites assemble.
Yeah.
I love it.
Kayla's gonna have a girl gang.
Yeah.
She's like, actually, I'm looking for guys.
Yeah.
You can find some people.
You can find all sorts
I'm
of
looking
people.
for a man, goddammit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, like-minded individuals who enjoy dining out and shopping experiences. Also, I hate to say it, the farmers market. What a hub of community.
So true.
I love food. I love an early morning. My body's a temple. I love produce. I love the farmers market. That's what that says.
Yeah. I think
Where'd
that's
you
a
get
great
those
idea.
Japanese sweet potatoes?
Exactly. Be
They're
like,
so
oh,
fun.
like that's such an easy way to talk to people. Every time I go to the farmers market, I'm talking to someone's talking to me, almost too much. Like you can't get in or out. It's just a lot of chatting. But be like, oh, that's really nice parsley. Where'd you get that? Literally a question that I would love to be asked or answered.
Imagine being Alison Roman at a farmer's market. Oof. It's like Radikowski walking down Fifth Avenue, huh?
Okay. Well, Kayla, we hope that was helpful, if not entertaining. And I think you can be the main character that you want to be. I think starting over in a city, even if you lived there before, can be scary, but also what an incredible opportunity. Nobody knows who you are, theoretically. You can go into any place and be whoever you want to be. And if you're like, this is how I'm feeling today, then you can do that. And if you want to pick a book or a magazine that to the outside reflects your personality, that like is sort of a calling card of this is who I am and this is what I'm about, then like pick that book, go read it at that bar, and somebody who finds that interesting might start talking to you.
I love it. Gonna go grab some magazines.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
Magazines the
really
way, because like
appreciate it.
magazines also old media, which is cool, I think.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, I love a good indie magazine. That's my jam.
Yeah.
I have all the subscriptions.
Bring like your interview, which is like
Yeah.
8 times the size of a regular magazine.
There you go. Yes, exactly. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Conversation starter.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you guys so much.
Of
I
course.
really appreciate it.
Good luck, Kayla.
Bye.
Jason's like, go to the bathroom,
imagine
do a bunch
Kayla's-
of ketamine. I'm like, she's like, I'm sober. Cool.
I mean, as soon as she said she's sober, I'm like, oof. Dining alone, sober, it's an uphill battle.
I don't think so. That's like, no, I disagree. Anyway, okay, we're going to do a really quick segment called Chef's Kiss. And these tend to skew cooking or food related. Your new kingdom, Jason, as incoming budding foodie on the scene. Everyone's really excited to see what you think, what your answers are to these questions. Jason is a really good home cook, I will say. And I say this as a person who's never eaten his food, but has seen photos that he's taken. And your wife is a really good home cook as well. She's also a great baker.
She is, and she's also much better at documenting the home cookery.
I feel like you used to do a lot more.
I used to do a lot more, but yeah, no.
Yeah.
I just don't even remember to do it.
Let's take our first one.
Hi, Alison. This is Nikki from New York, and I recently have done a large bout of traveling that included many 8-hour flights and multiple days in an airport. And I know you do quite a bit of traveling as well. And I'm always stumped on what the fuck do I eat in the airport or on the plane. And I'm wondering what Alison Roman eats in an airport or on the plane. Thanks so much.
Well, we can both answer that. I'm happy to start, but I have to open this. I would be remiss if I didn't mention in front of a large audience at this juncture that about 3 months ago, my husband told me that he likes eating at the airport. And I was like, what do you mean you like eating at the airport? And he's like, I like it. I like getting there early. He's like, I've even eaten. He told me, Jason, when I tell you this, he told me that he has even gotten off the plane and eaten at the airport. Can you believe that I read?
So it's like you're freed from the plane, you're able to go home. Yeah. But he said, let me go swing by the Shake Shack at JFK first.
Yeah, which
before I go home.
I get if you're like, okay, I had an early morning flight. I didn't have time to eat before. I didn't really want to eat on the plane. You land and you're like, I'm about to sit in 2 hours of traffic to get anywhere. Okay. You grab a little something for the road.
I like it.
But he was
I mean,
he stands by it. This is not embarrassing. I'm not throwing him under the bus. He likes this about himself. And I like that he likes it.
I think it's a cool,
it's very subversive.
I do too. It is slightly, it's an insane concept to consider because you want to be in the airport the least amount of seconds possible because it is a stressful, difficult place. Yes. But Chris and I have talked about it on my podcast a lot about how it really is the last place in the world where you get to see the cross section of every culture, class, country, background, all in one place, and they all have to get along together, or else they'll be arrested. Billionaires and
except if you're in Delta One and you have your own entrance onto the plane and stuff, which is cool.
Well, yeah.
Then you don't have to mingle really with that.
I'm talking about standard commercial flying. Okay, but to answer Nikki's question, I'm eating whatever they're serving me in first class, and I'm eating whatever they have at the Delta Lounge, of course. But I like to make a keto breakfast sandwich where I use 2 sausage patties as I'm being dead serious. So you get the sausage patties or the hamburger bun or the English muffin.
Okay.
If you're at Frog Club. And then inside is a little it looks like a Starbucks kind of egg sous vide egg bite hockey puck.
Do you make those or do you buy them?
A little. No, you have to. They're handcrafted.
The egg.
I make them myself. It's just no. They're just, you open up the chafing dish and there's just 50 of them.
Oh, you're talking at the lounge. Water, what you assemble for yourself.
I'm talking at the
lounge. Correct.
Lounge.
Okay, I thought you meant before you left the house for the airport. I was like, wow, that's okay.
Oh no.
Okay.
No.
Okay, so you craft a sandwich made of meat and egg.
Meat and egg. Do a little tapatio mayo. Kind of whip that together with a coffee stirrer. Yeah. Pop that down, and then some sparkling water, and that'll be good. And then on the plane, eating on the plane, it's really tough.
Are you keto anyway?
The only time. No, not at all.
Okay.
Not at all.
Just before you board those friendly skies.
If I'm on a really long. If I'm on a long haul flight, like a crazy long one, I'll just, if I need to, I'll eat whatever food that they give me. But otherwise, I'm a handful of almonds and some sun chips with my ginger ale and my edible, and that's about it.
Okay. Wow. So highly medicated and highly proteined is how you like to fly. I do the bad thing.
No microwave sandwich.
I do the bad thing, and I will deprive myself. not intentionally, but I'll be like, oh, I don't want to eat that. And then I'll get on the plane and like, oh, I don't want to eat that either. And then I land and I'm a mess. My blood sugar is too low. I'm cranky. It's bad. Like I'm getting better as I get older to like do that less, but I will put myself through hell to like eat the perfect taco. Like I'm like, well, I don't want to eat on the plane because I'm going to like save myself for this other thing that I'm going to do. But the airplane food freaks me out a little bit. And I've flown Delta One, Jason. And even then, like it is better, but it is still not great.
Even at its best, it is still shaky.
Even if
I
you're
on the
it.
Singapore Airlines and you're eating sashimi platters and
Never
stuff,
done that.
like even then it's still a little, but also like you're on the plane, even if you're very comfortable with flying and medicated, you have a quarter of a Xanax and you're watching Oppenheimer, life is good. There's still the subconscious in the back of your mind of like, oh my God, I'm going to fucking die at any second. Food is very comforting.
Yes.
The repetitive motion of snacking is very relaxing in that situation. So
I would prefer the snack.
I like doing that.
To the prepared food in that like nuts are good. I like Cheez-Its because they make me feel safe. Hydrate. So much water. At the Delta Lounge, if I am in there, I will do oatmeal or a cereal if it's the morning. And if it's the evening, I'll do like a meat and cheese plate. So like there's sliced cheeses, maybe some salami, little grapes, something like that, little charcuterie board. So that's really what I'm eating.
Yeah. The JFK Delta Lounge, you can get a decent little charcuterie going there.
I will say every other country let me rephrase that. I will say I've flown to other countries, Vietnam specifically and Korean Air specifically had excellent food. Korean Air had a full bibimbap with like little tiny packages of gochugaru for squeezing over. And like the lounge in Vietnam had some of the best everything food I've ever had. There was like congee, there was like beautiful chicken broth, it was little dumplings. It was awesome. I was like, wow, this airplane food fucks. Okay, let's take our next caller.
Hi, this is Alexis. I'm calling from Brooklyn, and I am soon going to a Michelin-starred restaurant, and I was wondering what I should wear. So if you could give me any advice on that, I would really appreciate it. Thank you.
Everyone's living the high life on this episode. We got frequent flyers. We got Michelin star restaurantes.
Solicited Advice is brought to you by our friends at Litter Robot. I have 2 cats now. I had 1 and now I have 2. And what they say is true. It is double the pleasure and double the fun. But what I don't love is double the litter that I have to clean all the time, especially the new one. He's like 17 pounds and just like an absolute beast of a boy. I feel like if you have an opportunity to manually scoop less cat litter, then like, wouldn't you take that? Well, good news. Litter Robot allows you to do that. And as the name would indicate, it is literally a robot that is also a litter box. It does like an automated cleaning. There's like a Wi-Fi situation. There's an app that you can put on that'll be like, it's time to clean the box. What can't it do, really? As a special offer to listeners of the show, please go to stopscooping.com/advice and enter promo code ADVICE to save an extra $50 on any Litter Robot bundle. That's an extra $50 off any Litter Robot bundle at stopscooping.com/advice and enter promo code ADVICE at checkout. Thank you to Claritin for supporting this episode and providing us with samples. I have allergies. Thank God I'm only allergic to penicillin, amoxicillin, and the springtime. But the springtime extends into the summertime, and I didn't know I had allergies until I was an adult and I moved to the East Coast because it's like an entirely new set of flora and fauna to be allergic to. But luckily for those of us who live with symptoms of allergies, we can live Claritin Clear with Claritin D. The double-action combination of prescription-strength allergy medicine and the best decongestant available relieves sneezing, a runny nose, itchy and watery eyes, an itchy nose and throat, and sinus congestion and pressure with ease. Ready to live your life as if you don't have allergies? It's time to live Claritin Clear. Fast and powerful relief is just a quick trip away. Find Claritin D at your local pharmacy counter. You don't even need a prescription. Go to Claritin.com right now for a discount code so you can live Claritin Clear. Please use as directed.
I mean,
Unfortunately, I think that the Michelin star does not I mean, it's a spectrum of levels of dress code on a, from one Michelin star restaurant to another. There's a Le Bernardin level, and then there's some Thai food spot where you can wear whatever.
I think we can
in
infer.
an alleyway, and you're having
Yeah,
some prawn sliders.
I think we can.
But a fancy Michelin spot.
Yeah, I think that's probably what she's talking about. But I will say, like, when I was younger and I would go to fancier restaurants, I dressed up way more and always felt uncomfortable. But I think I just always felt uncomfortable as a younger person anyway. I become a lot more relaxed about what I wear, period, even if it's like something quote unquote fancy or nice. But like, I would say you can't go wrong with black. I would say wear whatever makes you feel most comfortable, because sometimes fine dining establishments can make you feel really uncomfortable. And you don't want to feel like you stick out. You don't want to feel like you're underdressed. You don't want to feel like you're drawing too much attention to yourself. I don't know. Maybe I'm projecting and these are just my internal thoughts, but like, I would say that it's not the time to wear like a new outfit that you're not sure if it looks good or fits right. Like wear something that you're like, I look great in this. I feel great in this. And I would say err on the side of overdressed, not underdressed. Like, you know what I mean? But something that you're like, I look hot. I feel good. I feel like myself. And like, I never get to wear this because like, it's a little bit nicer than anything, else that I have or whatever. Like use it as an opportunity to like do something different. But I would say confidence is key. So like whatever it is that you pick, make sure that you're like, I feel good in it and I feel like I look good in it.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of like Michelin meals and outfits I've worn. I feel like
men have it so much
going to the
easier.
grill, of course. I mean, oftentimes I could just wear a suit, and no one's ever going to have a problem with a man wearing a suit in a restaurant.
Correct.
It's always a winner. But like I went to Noma last year.
Oh, how was it?
And I probably just wore a t-shirt. It was for lunch, but you can read a review. 1,500 words for it. Check it out. I wish I could summarize it in just one sentence.
It's too hard to synthesize that kind of brilliance. Yeah.
To synthesize, good word for it. But I would say dress like you're about to go on a first date with somebody out of your league is what I would say.
That's good advice. Yeah. And then if you want to get practical, I would say like
out of your league in a good way, not in a bad way. Sorry,
we should always aim high. I will say like invest in a good blazer for a man or a woman. Is that okay advice for a man? Do men wear blazers still?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, it
always works.
I brought up Le Bernardin earlier, but Le Bernardin is a place where it's a jacket is required, and if you don't have one, just like in the movies, they'll pull one out of the closet for you. And I went there last December, and I did not know about this policy until I was on the way there, and they told me that my outfit was sufficient enough.
It was sufficient enough.
I did not need a jacket.
Wow. Okay. Well,
it was. They did not need to jacket me. I was wearing just a Prada sweater and some pants.
They looked. They're like, we do not have a jacket for this tall ass man. He's fine.
It could have been a little bit of that.
Yeah.
Could have been a little bit of that as well.
Yeah.
I wanted the jacket. It would have been fun.
It would have been fun. That's a gross thing though, to wear someone else's jacket. But I will say, if you have like a nice chic blazer as a lady, you can throw that over like a silk little tank camisole situation and like red lip, little gold hoop. You're in business, Okay.
You could throw it over a Brandy Melville top.
Exactly, because those are one size, so it doesn't matter.
Blazer on top.
Yeah, exactly.
Beautiful.
Next caller.
Hi, Alison. This is Liz calling from Detroit. So I love beans. I'm a Rancho Gordo girl myself. And I riff on your recipe for beans all the time. I'm also a dietitian, and I am forever trying to get my patients to eat more beans. But whenever I bring it up to them, they look at me like I've just asked them to eat like dirt from the side of the road or like garbage on a hot summer day. So my question for you is, how do I sell people on beans? How do I teach them what you and I, maybe you more so than me, already know? And how do we make beans sexy? Thank you so much for your help. I can't wait to hear your answer. Thank you. Bye.
People who think beans are not good or cool, grow up. It's like...
I like all these questions. All these questions are good. It's cool. Yeah. I just like somebody saying, I'm Liz from Detroit and I love beans. Yeah. I'm like, this is great. I could listen to this shit all day.
Well, you can at AlisonYourWoman.com/podcast. Yeah, I mean, if I can't, I've been trying my whole fucking career to convince people that beans are delicious and cool and sexy and beautiful. People in many places of the world have already discovered this. People eat them for sustenance because they're cheap. They eat them for luxury because they're delicious. It is high source of protein. They are there's so many different varieties that do different things. I had beans this morning for breakfast. Perfect food for breakfast. It's
Okay, well, you and I and Liz know all the reasons why beans are dope, and we are all three Rancho Gordo girlies. We always soaking
yes,
in things
high
like that.
rise up.
Maybe we need to reverse engineer why everyone seems.
We
Why
know
is it
why.
that people
know
have
why.
such an aversion to the beans?
Because they think they're gonna fart. They're like, oh, beans make you fart, from that stupid ass song that everybody's saying as a kid, the magical fruit, the more you eat, the more you I get, like, we all have heard it.
I feel like we're a little post. I think we're post magical fruit.
Babe,
I think
you
we're
and I
post
know
Tudu.
that. We all, the three of us know that. Some people though need to grow up.
But also, we're in a wellness thing. We're talking about the micro gut biome, and we're eating all
That's
of
very
the
true.
all of the kimchis and all these things. And you know, having movements is a thing that hot girlies want to do.
Do they talk about
We're
it?
taking our Dr. Tobias pills and all this shit. You know, like bodily movements are considered good and healthy. I don't think that people are afraid of farting that much anymore. I think does it have like is it filling? Does it have any other stigma to it that
I think they come in a
people are averse
can
to?
more often than not. People associate them with like a casserole or a shitty chili. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that also from a can, if you just eat a bean, it's frankly not that delicious. You have to do a lot to the canned bean to make
Eat a
it
bean.
palatable, which is why I'm such an advocate for brothy beans. Because hello,
Sure.
like from minute one, you're controlling how this bean tastes. Does it have salt? Is there garlicky flavor? Are there herbs in it? Is there a lemon? Like, is it spicy? Like, each bean has flavor rather than just the outside of a bean.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some people who are just like, no, like if you hand them like an amazing bean and cheese burrito on a handmade
so good.
tortilla and lardy beans that have been stewing all day and with some onions and salt, and like, and you give that to you or I, and we're gonna say thank you. I'm gonna eat the hell out
It's
of
a
this.
delicacy.
It's so amazing. And
It's a
some people are just
delicacy.
like, ooh, beans, nasty. Or like, you go to any like really good Mexican restaurant, it's just like going to a French restaurant. The bread and the butter, if it's done well, or it's always going to be the best bite that you've had that night. And if the beans and the rice, the simple beans and simple rice, are cooked perfectly with love, that's going to have your ratatouille moment. That's going to be the best thing that you've eaten. It doesn't matter if it's your octopus ceviche, your your al pastor duck for two, your carne asada taco.
Were you eating
the
al pastor
beans and
duck?
rice are always the best thing.
Yeah.
Damian.
I haven't been. Yeah, I agree. And I think that, like, if I'm going to say something controversial, which I hope this person doesn't take offense, but I think it's because it's also coming from a dietitian. And a person giving food advice from a dietitian, they're going to sort of assume that it's like, yeah, well, of course you want me to eat that. You're concerned with like my health. But like me concerned with being things being delicious, I don't trust you. You know, like I'm taking I'm taking,
like, you want me to have fish oil,
totally. Like
and all this other nasty shit.
I'm not saying this as me. I'm saying this as a simple man. And you know what I mean? It's kind of like, don't tell me what to do energy. So it's sort of like you have to show them my bean video. That's the answer. Be like, I need you to watch something.
And
and like tape their eyes open.
Also
in a chair.
Look at these beans. And then when in doubt, mix the beans with some lard.
Yeah.
And then your beans taste like lard.
Yeah, they taste delicious. Cook them with a big ham hock. Put bacon in them. Like, do it like I used to always cook my beans with pork, like with like a slab of bacon, just like a hunk in there. And now I almost never ever do. I do if I happen to have a ham hock or like bacon ends or something, like brisket, something that I'm like, oh, this will be good in a pot of beans. But if I, on any given day, I'm just doing a pot of brothy beans, they are vegan because they themselves give up so much deliciousness and like all the other stuff you throw in that pot, the chilies, the onions, the garlic, the bay leaf, the lemon, the like it is just delicious on its own. And then you can take those beans and then you can fry them in lard, and then you can fry them in bacon fat, or you can like scramble them with an egg, put them in a tortilla, eat them over salad. I can't say enough good things about beans, obviously. But yeah, it's very tough to give somebody who has, like, you have to give them, you know what? Actually, I take it all back. Cut everything, because the only answer is give them good beans. They have to see the light in order to appreciate it. Like they're not going to take anyone's word for it if they've had a bad bean experience. Think about you. If you've ever had a bad experience doing anything and someone's like, you should try that, you're going to be like, I did try that and I hated it. And they're like, no, you did it the wrong way. And they're going to be like, no, you have to show, don't tell. We got there. Wow.
Let me show you my world.
Yeah, let me come to
show you my world of
bean
beans.
kingdom, or I don't know. Okay, next and last caller.
So I have a question. My husband and I love to travel. We oftentimes go to cool places that have great food, like New York, Seattle, Portland. But I feel like we always have a hard time picking a restaurant. He's the one that likes to walk down the street and find the restaurant, whether it's the mom and pop or it's a chain or whatever it may be. And then I'm the one that spends hours in doing research, trying to find the best recommendation, building my list. I always reference, friends who have lived there or have traveled there, and I want their references and recommendations. And my husband doesn't love that. My husband doesn't love that I built the list, but I think that has more quality than walking down the street, because it could be risky finding the restaurant that is good, and I don't want to pay money for bad food, right? So would love to hear what you think, how we should do it in the future, and how to handle just finding the best food out there. Okay, thanks. You're the best. Okay, bye.
Wow, I would have loved to take this one live.
Another amazing question.
Yeah.
Another amazing
Well,
question.
before we get into that, this resonates very deeply for me, because I am one of them and my husband is also the other one. Do you have a dynamic with Carolyn that like feels similar, or no? Are you more aligned?
I would say we're a little more aligned. She leans a little bit more on the premeditated research work, and I lean a little bit more on the sporadic side, but I also do a lot of research myself. I think our caller represented both sides of the spectrum, and the correct way to be is somewhere in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, for somebody like her, it sounds like it's not like an OCD, ADD controlling issue. It's just, I mean, maybe it is a little bit, of course, but you have that fear of having a bad meal that you wasted money on, and you try to mitigate as much as you can to avoid doing that with all this research and everything like that. But you can still strike out.
Oh, yeah.
Going to a restaurant that you've researched 1,000 times. You could still go to an awful restaurant that your friend recommended. So it's just as risky as stumbling upon something, and your taste is different than other people's tastes. And to me, I think that I've looked at Yelp and Infatuation and Eater and every other thing in the entire world, and I can sort of develop a sense, the same way that women can look at the social media profile of somebody and get a feeling of the essence of this thing, of whether
we nailed it.
It's not so much, is this place good or bad? It is, will myself respond well to this vibe?
That's how I feel.
And then from there, that's your starting off point.
Yeah. I'm really excited for my husband to listen to this, because we were in Paris a few weeks ago and this came up a lot. And he's definitely, I mean, food's more important to me than it is to him, just full stop. But he really does still value like the experience of a special restaurant. Like that's not lost on him, and it's something he seeks out and craves. So like we're very aligned.
Whether or not it's at an airport, he likes to go out to restaurants.
Exactly. You don't know the vibes at JFK at 5 p.m. on a Tuesday, but he does. And guess what? They're great.
Mm-hmm. I got us a res at the Palm.
Yeah, that's the one we always joke about, because it's the only one that I know of. But so he's very happy to just like be like, oh, this place looks good. And I'm like, well, what if it's bad? But also, I also know that it doesn't, I've gone to too many places that everyone's like, well, you got to go here. You show up and it's everyone you've ever known in your whole life. It's, if you're abroad, it's every American you've ever met. The food is fine. It's mediocre. They like the thing that you saw on the like, I don't know. I wrote about this recently in the Paris newsletter, but it was sort of like the expectation is never the reality and almost nothing is worth the hype. So it would behoove all of us, especially when traveling. I'm not saying I'm a lot more stickler about it when I'm in New York because I'm like, okay, well, I live here and I also want to like research the places that I want to go to and blah, blah, blah. But when I'm traveling, I really am trying to loosen up because some of my favorite meals while I've been out have been like the place that wasn't on anyone's list. And then you also get the feel of superiority for going to a place that wasn't on anybody's list that maybe you're introducing somebody to, because I also hate the idea that I'm going to live my life based on the recommendations of others.
1000% agree with that.
But you're correct in
yeah,
that
I think
the middle ground is the way to go.
Yeah, and what you have to do is, unfortunately, it's knowing yourself, and it takes years and years of just being able to look at a restaurant, their Instagram, their social media profiles, their eater reviews, their Yelps, their everything that's out there, and form a giant spider web of information of if you're going to like this or if you're not going to. And also relying too heavily on research, like you're saying, you're going for that trip. We're going to Greece this summer and we already made our reses. Like you don't know if you're going to be in the mood to have this dope ass restaurant on Thursday 4 months from now, because you're going to be like, great, we're going to have.
You're like, we wanted to stay late. Yeah, we wanted to like stay longer at the beach or whatever. Like, or we got invited to something.
We want to stay longer, or just like, can I just have a bowl of white rice for Christ's sake?
Yeah, not in Greece.
Whatever it may be. So you have to leave open a certain percentage of just spontaneity or moldability to make an audible decision and be like, I want to eat what I am in the mood for today, not what I was able to get a reservation for 2 months ago, or not what I've been researching is the most the most wise decision based on my data points.
Yeah.
You have to think about the data inside here.
Yeah, the data in your heart. For those of you who can't see Jason pointing to his heart. That also ties back to the other conversation about reservations and why I hate them so much. Like, I understand that they're necessary, but like, I don't know what I'm going to want to eat. I don't know how I'm going to feel. I don't know what time I'm going to be free. I don't know what my day holds that day, 3 weeks from now. Whatever. I know some friends that will just make a reservation and then back into it. They'll be like, I have a reservation at this table. Do you want to come with me? And that's actually kind of nice because it's like, I know it's a way that they see a lot of friends. They'll be like, oh, do you want to come? We have a 4-top at blah, 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 9:00 on Friday. Want to come? And like, that's actually kind of cool, especially if you have kids and your schedule is a little less flexible and you're like, we have one night that we can like really do this. I understand that reservations are also very useful. And this is a podcast right now, 2 people who don't have children. And so our schedules are sort of like, what are our needs? And we can do whatever we want, whenever we want. So I will say that just occurred to me that might be useful for parents, especially new parents, because nobody wants to hear we're fully committed, which is what I hear every time I try to go to Via Carota. The most popular restaurant in the world.
Lastly, what do you as Alison Roman, who has a partner, do you ever feel like saying, I'm better at this, so just let me do it? Always. I'm always going to do a better job at picking the restaurant for us.
Well, he knows that I will. It's not about that. It's about will you loosen up a little bit? You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't always need to be perfect. Like my strive for perfection in everything in my life, for optimization, for like making sure that no minute is lost means I'm always late to the airport. Like making sure we eat at the perfect restaurant means we don't eat for 3 hours because it's on the other side of town or we sit in traffic. Like the quest for excellence does come with a price. And I think that Max is sort of like, I wish we didn't always have to pay that price. Like, wouldn't it just be fun to like spend time together at this like cute seeming wine bar? Like, why, like, do we have to go to like the place? And more and more. And as I get older, I loosen up because I realize that the place is almost never what I think it's going to be anyway. So I'd rather, you're right. I would rather just spend time with someone that I love, which sounds cheesy, but it's also true. And he'll remind me of this next time I pitch a fit about us not going to the right restaurant. But it also depends on where you are. Like if there's some cities I go to where I have zero expectations, I have no idea what's there or what I'm supposed to eat, or I know nothing. And I'm happy to literally go anywhere. And that's true. You know?
That's not true, and that's never true, and you know that's
No,
not
that
true.
is true.
Whenever
But
you
like
say, "I'm happy
Paris
to
is
go anywhere and
Paris,
go
like
wherever you like."
London is London, Rome is Rome, Mexico City is Mexico City. You got like there's places that I've heard about, that I've read about, and I'm like, I really want to make an effort to go there because I don't go there that often. You know what I mean? Like when I'm in Mexico City, I do want to go to the places. It is important that I have an 8-hour lunch at Contramar.
I was honestly thinking about that this morning.
Yeah, it's a good lunch. It's a really nice way to spend your time. And, you know, I don't need to go to the museums every time. I do need to go to Contramar every time. All right. Well, Jason, this has been so lovely, and you're so smart, and you were exactly the right person for this. And I'm so glad you could join me.
It's an honor and a pleasure. Thank you for asking me, Roman. I appreciate it.
Of course. And you can find Jason on his podcast, How Long Gone, which is extremely popular. So I'm sure you've already heard. I've been on it twice. So, you know, the crossover, this is our third official crossover. Oh, and live. Yeah. Which, you know, it's a one-time only situation. We don't record those. And by we, I mean you and me and
That's
Chris.
right.
Jason Stewart, thank you so much for your time, for your candor, for your friendship. I really appreciate you. Solicited Advice is hosted by me, Alison Roman. Our podcast is produced by Maria Robbins Somerville with the help of Elena Rodriguez Villa. Video editing by Leah Somerville. Our theme music was created by Joseph Monroe. You can watch a video version of this podcast on my YouTube channel. And for questions, sponsorship inquiries, or anything else, please visit us at AlisonERoman.com/podcast.